What is up and welcome back to the channel. It's that time of year. It is right before the 2025 season is about to start, and it is one of my favorite videos. It's becoming an annual tradition at this point. It's the building the bag for the new season. Obviously all of these discs are, what I feel most confident in right now, but anything can change at any time. Discmania keeps coming out with new molds, new plastics, and yeah, but as of the lineup for this date right now, February 22nd, this is what I'm going to be starting the season with. Let's start with the putters. One of the biggest changes for me now that I am putting with the D-Line P1X. Now, these swirlies have just been my favorite so far, but the first one I got was this Flex 2, and I was using it as a throwing putter, but now it's a throwing putter mixed with a long range putter because it's a little more beat in. But these swirlies, as soon as I got my hands on them, I don't know, something, I've been putting with a P2 since 2019, but something about this mold just spoke to me, and I had to give it a try, and I haven't looked back since. The steppers have been absolutely on fire, and I just, I feel very in control of the pattern of my putts right now, and that's what's most important. Next up, one of my newest favorite throwing putters. Last year I was throwing the Cosmic Fury 1, but I lost the one that I had beat into perfection, so I've been looking for something to replace it. And I think this is exactly what I wanted, the Cosmic Stone, the clear. I got a team stamp on there. It's just the perfect, throw it hard, and it'll flip up to flat, just barely finish left. I love it for little snappers, like glidey approaches. There's nothing really else to say about it other than this is a durable, glidey, dead straight throwing putter. Fan grip, power grip, you name it. Next up, one of the most important molds in the bag for me, Exo Hard Tactic and the Sea-Line Tactic. I don't think I have to say much about this mold combo right here. Exo Hard is pretty dead straight for backhand, pretty manipulable for sidearm. If I want to torque it hard, I can get it to hold over. If I want to snap it on some hyzer, I can get it to drift right. Where the Sea-Line has always just been like the anti-flex or like the dump hyzer option. I really want to get better at backhanding the Sea-Line one because I've started to love like the no glide backhand approach option that the Exo Hard Tactic gives me. But it's all about the evolution of my game and making sure that every disc is maximized to its potential. One of the biggest changes you're going to see in my bag, we'll call it potentially temporary, but to replace my old D-Line MD, I have brought in not only out of the starter pack, but the Geo Origin. 173 grams, I think. I actually have not thrown a single shot with this, but I don't even need to take a guess because I know that this is exactly the disc I'm looking for. It's that putter plastic mid-range. It's got plenty of glide for when I'm 100 to 120 feet away, and something just don't feel right about like doing like a snap approach or a forehand. Just a nice little jump putt spinner. And as of right now, the Geo Origin is in the slot, but that could change, so we will see. I've got two more Origins. One of them you are definitely going to recognize because I've been throwing this thing for years since Kyle Klein gave it to me. The Midnight Prowl 1 with the custom bar stamp on it. This is just a flippy thrower's dream. I can throw this on as much hyzer as I want backhand and it'll still consistently flip over. I could throw crazy sauce god sidearm hyzer flips, whether I want them to late flip or I want them to just push on a straight flat line. This Midnight Prowl is a pretty versatile disc. It just doesn't get to see that many reps when we're on tour. Now, one of the best new additions to the bag right here, the Color Glow Lumen Origin. This is dead straight. When I put it on a hyzer, it'll hold the turn when I throw it flat or like a slight ante, and it's just that glidey, feels like super confident when I'm lining up the shots. I've always loved the Origin. I just feel like I've never really found the plastic combo to like complement the Midnight Prowl, which is like, this is the most understable version of the Origin, maybe besides the Geo, but you know what I'm saying. The Lumen Color Glow, I have been absolutely loving throwing this disc. One of the all-time greats in my bag this year, I'm just gonna say it. There's been like a weird, I don't know, thing going on with my bag over the last 2 years that my mid-ranges have just been like hot or cold. And when they're hot, they're just like, they're sufficient. And when they're cold, they're like ice cold. But let me tell you, ever since I threw this Glacier for the first time, something clicked and I'm loving it. This is going to be a staple for me on the tour this year. I feel like I finally have a mid-range that I am like truly, truly confident in and excited to throw. And yeah, I don't know, it's just something about the way that it has the torque resistance and the glide and the flight path. So I said it in another video, I don't remember which one, but I throw this thing on a slight hyzer, but if I aim it way out to the right of the target, it has so much glide that even though it's only on a slight hyzer, it's going to carry all the way left. And same thing for the anhyzer. It's gonna fight out of it, but it's not gonna roll, it's not gonna flex out super hard, it's just gonna hold that glide and just keep on drifting. And I can understand why Gannon wanted this, and I'm very thankful that he chose it. Now we have another new addition to the bag, one I've been trying to work in for a very long time, but it's about time that I really just lock it down, get confident. The Metal Flake Sea-Line MD5. This isn't the first one I owned, but I think I bought this actually at the 2023 European Open because it's the flattest one. Now, I would prefer a little more like of a puddle top on these. Niklas Antila has a really nice orange puddle top MD5. But this is the closest I've seen. It's just, you know, when the tactic just isn't fast enough, just need that extra little snap to get the anti-flex, or you need just like a rip of a backhand hyzer into a headwind, and this thing will never flip up, I guess, unless you're Silas Schultz, but not for me. This MD5 is very overstable, very trustworthy. It's just a matter of me dialing in my release point, backhand and sidearm. I just need to put the reps in, put the time in, and yeah, it'll find its way. All right, now we're getting into my favorite speed in the game. It is the 7-speed slot, starting with none other than my S-Line FD. I've been throwing this since I got it at the warehouse in May 2023, and I actually got my first ace with this disc this past October at Burgess Park, hole 12, and it was just a laser beam, flip up straight, nothing but chains the whole way. And this one is another one that's subject to change. The reason it's in the bag right now is because it is the late flip FD that I'm looking for right now, but I'm trying to work in another disc that you'll see later in the video. But as of right now, this S-Line FD has been a great hyzer flip turnover disc for me, a great roller, a great hyzer flip sidearm. Obviously, when it's a wooded course, FD, 7 speeds all over the place, and this is my flippiest option. We have all of my Skywalkers. Beat up Skywalker 1, somewhat seasoned Skywalker 1, and basically brand new Metal Flake Skywalker 2. This beat up Skywalker 1 was put in the bag the week of chess.com at Olympus last year, because in my last practice round I threw my other blue and white Skywalker in the pond on 18 and just pulled an audible right before the tournament, threw this one in the bag, and it flew true ever since that point. So earned its spot in the bag and never left. This was an absolute champion for me all season long, and it got to a point at MVP Open last year that I was just throwing this disc at all costs. There was no need for me to be throwing a distance driver because it was going just as far as my distance drivers would. It just takes longer to get there. And if I can choose to throw the disc I'm most confident in on every single hole, I'm gonna choose to do that. In the Skywalker 1, I'm just so lucky that the disc that I am most confident in happens to have my name on it. So we are very happy with where this Skywalker 1 is at. But what I need to work on is getting this one a little more beat up so that it seems like I have something closer to a backup for the red stamp, because if I lose that one, I'm totally screwed. This one's making its way there, and I have a plan for when this one gets a little more seasoned. I'm going to throw in one of my Spooky Series Mummy Walkers, the green and white one particularly, But as of right now, we got 2 Skywalker ones. This is the prototype run. I threw that bar stamp on there myself for that overstable, any conditions, flex, hyzer, fade, whatever you want to call it. Metal Flake Skywalker 2. It's the perfect combination of glide and overstability. I can't say enough good things about this disc. Now, the Color Glow without the Metal Flake tend to be a little more overstable, a little less glidey. I prefer to just add some hyzer to my Metal Flake ones. And I also don't usually forehand this, although a lot of people love to forehand the Skywalker 2. This is just, I'm more comfortable forehanding an FD3, so the Skywalker 2 is just that disc for me. And yeah, this is the replacement for the yellow stamp one that I aced the Florida hole in the final round of the USGGC last year. So red stamp to start the year. Couldn't be more happy to have this one in the bag right now. Moving on to the 9 speeds with another brand new addition to the bag. I have a prototype C-Line CD1. This is the exact shape that I'm looking for. It's like the carbon copy of my old USGGC first run CD2, and the CD1 is the same exact disc as the CD2. It's just we changed the number from a 2 to a 1 because the stability is supposed to line up that way, which I don't know if you guys have heard, but the FD1 might be changing to the FD2. We'll see. CD1, same thing as that FD I was talking about, just that late flip, hyzer flip, turnover, just a little bit faster than the FD, so that means I get like 30 to 40 more feet. It's all about what's comfortable and the distance required at the time of release. And this disc is going to be an absolute staple for me in the woods, very similar to my S-Line FD. This is a special disc. And not only is it special because it's rare, but it has been flying so good already and the season hasn't even started. The prototype Neo Vanguard, when Kyle first designed the Vanguard, he got like some S-Line versions and he got this Neo version. And you know, I was like, oh, that's cool when he first got it, but I talked about it in the last, in the fieldwork video. It was Kyle throwing this at the Open at Austin on the hyzer flips sidearm. And I couldn't ask for disc to fill that slot better for me. And the Neo Vanguard, as hard as it is to obtain at this point, I hope to find an alternate route. I have some of the Metal Flake Rim Color Glow ones that he released last year, but hopefully I just don't lose this one and it just flies true forever. Now we've got 2 FD3s. We've got a beat up S-Line FD3, not super beat, and then we've got the Doombird 4 Spider-Man. I call it Donnie Tsunami and Spider-Man. This one is pretty moderate stability. At this point, it's pretty neutral for an FD3. I get a little bit of a hyzer flip for it, but I love to just manipulate that hyzer to flat, where Spider-Man is still just super beef dog. And anti-flex backhand, anti-flex sidearm, thumbers, you name it. This disc is gonna hold up in any headwind. And it's just always good to have a slower, you know, nothing too fast, but super reliable, mega overstable beefcake in the bag, and Spider-Man suits the bill for me in that slot. Next up, another new addition to the bag is this Gannon Burr D-Glow Triumph Series Color Glow PD. Now this is kind of a controversial mold for me because I've always, ever since the Skywalker came out, I've felt like the PD has too much overlap with the Skywalker one. Now maybe that's just like too naive of me and I'm not like a true Discmaniac without a PD in my bag. But somebody dyed this Asia Open stamp and did the half red and yellow dye like Simon's old PD, and I just kind of took a glance at it and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give this thing a shot. And you know, the truth is, I could make it a couple tournaments through the year and realize that I haven't thrown this once. But it'll always be a necessary backup to have on hand, because anytime there's a shot that the Skywalker just barely doesn't reach, or I just want something a little more faster that I can trust to like clear some water a little bit easier, the PD is where it's gonna jump in the bag right there. Alrighty, and without any further ado, full tilt, still in the bag, upside down, right side up. On tour, to be honest, I throw it way more upside down. It's just like some particular, very particular lines and shots that call for it. The last one I remember was hole 14 at Music City. I birdied it 2 out of 3 rounds, upside down tilt. And a bunch of people thought that I was just messing around, but to be honest, it was just the most confident shot. And I always choose the most confident shot, even if it's weird. So, yep, gotta have the tilt in the bag because tilt baby. Last but not least, we have the money makers on the tour because we are required to throw wicked far on basically every single course and keep it in bounds and trust your discs with like as much trust as possible. Also, one of my favorite molds, the DD1, starting with my boy Charlie Woods here. This is the second coming of my black and yellow Horizon DD1. First one being Tiger, second one being Charlie. You could probably guess why. These original Stratosphere Horizon DD1s are just like the hyzer flip dream of a distance driver. I can throw as much hyzer as I want, depending on how much turn I'm looking for. Now, this is a little bit seasoned. I've been throwing this one since like midway through the 2023 season. And yeah, just can't say enough good things about the DD1 as a mold. And you'll see as I run through each rendition of that mold, we're gonna get a little more overstable as we go, but Charlie is the hyzer flip dream. Can't say enough good things, and I actually recently just started throwing these crazy like hyzer flip sidearms with this guy. The more trees, the more Charlie gets to be thrown. Next up, we have the second rendition of the Horizon DD1 that was released last season. We had a bunch of them stamped with my Massachusetts Send It Bub stamp. This one has gotten pretty seasoned. This was the second one I owned. First one I lost the week of the preserve, but then I replaced it that week, so this has been in the bag since the preserve. And this is just the perfect complement to Charlie, where I can throw that hyzer flip to flat, where Charlie will drift over. This one will just hold flat, maybe a slight turn, but just really easy to manipulate, effortless distance, all the glide in the world. And originally when I put this in the bag, it replaced Just Send It, which if anybody knows, they know how much I love Just Send It. But this disc, being able to replace it, says a lot. Now, one step up in stability, but this is as of recently, is my prototype C-Line DD1. This was a lot more overstable even just 6 months ago, and I used it a lot over the winter because I wanted to kind of work it in a little bit more, but now it's just a nice, reliable, stiff, slow speed distance driver, 11 speed, and the C-Line prototypes are a little bit harder to get, but I do have like 3 or 4. But this was the first one that I got from Simon back in 2022, or yeah, like the end of 2022. And yeah, this disc, it's been in and out of the bag basically ever since, but I do love this disc, and it's not quite as flippy as the Mass Stamp blue and yellow, call that one Boston Strong, but it's just easy to throw, reliable fade, and pretty straight actually. Now, the newest DD1 that we have made was the one that I made. The Mystery Box DNA DD1. So it's an S-Line middle because I loved the S-Line DD1, but I wanted it to last longer, so I made it with the Color Glow C-Line Metal Flake rim. So this is basically exactly what I had from my S-Line DD1s prior, with a little more durability. Right now, this one's pretty stable. I'm really loving it. It's basically flying exactly how my C-Line prototype used to fly. So we'll see some sort of cycling, but like I said, this is just what I'm starting the year with. Things are going to change, but super happy with the DNA choice that I ended up with. And I hope that everybody who got theirs in their mystery box is as happy as I am with this disc. Cloud Breaker / DD3 slot. I have a C-Line prototype DD3 right here, and I have a magenta pink Cloud Breaker that used to be absolute beefcake. I got this from Kyle Klein, the Preserve in 2023, and man, can't say enough good things about this disc. This disc is reliable over stability, very easily workable. I just got my first ace with it on a sidearm skip. And this is the same thing, just a little more turn, which basically means a little more distance. This is like controlled distance, and this one's max distance. And yeah, basically, I feel like I only have the need for 2 faster distance drivers in the bag because I love the DD1 so much. Every single opportunity I have to throw the DD1, I'll take it. But when the wind gets up, you got to have some DD3s or cloud breakers to keep your line straight out there on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, which leads us to our most reliable, most overstable distance driver, just a stock S-Line PD2. I actually just lost the one I have been throwing, but that's the good thing about stock S-Line PD2s is you just get one of the same color and I can guarantee it's gonna fly the same. There's not much to say. It's a solid standard PD2. There's nothing special about it. It's just overstable, reliable, torque resistant, fights any good headwind with ease, and yeah, sidearm flex, anti-flex backhand, hyzer bomb backhand. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So that is what is in the bag to start the year. Like, confirmed, all of these discs will be in my bag at the Supreme Flight Open. But now we're gonna have a couple courses be a little bit different. Like I'm playing Mobile, and that's gonna have a pretty heavily wooded course with the Admiral. So that might require a couple disc changes. So I always have like the on deck slot, and I'm just gonna run through them in no particular order. This is a Nightstone Neo FD. This is what I've been told is the perfect replacement for a Night Strike 1. So I'd love to work this in the bag. It's just, right now it really mimics my beat up Skywalker 1. So I just don't really feel like a need for both in the bag right now, but I'd love to get one a little beat up to get closer to the stability of my S-Line FD. And I think that Neo is a little more durable than the S-Line too, so that would help with the longevity in the bag. Now I have a D-Line P2X. I believe this is Flex 3. I would love to have this as a throwing putter. I have no interest in putting with this at all. But what I love the most about it is it feels so torque resistant for like a sidearm approach where like my tactic is pretty straight, but this would be a much easier slot for me to like hyzer flip and turn. I'm currently doing that with my P1X, but if I'm being honest, it feels way more comfortable to sidearm the P2X than the P1X. Also just like feeling really good with this disc, just like a nice soft approach disc, but we'll see. It's just a matter of me getting some more reps with it. Now I already talked about these discs earlier, but we've got my backup DD1s. Tiger Woods right here being the flippiest. Bob Ross right here being, honestly at this point, probably pretty similar to Charlie Woods. It's kind of just like a swap it in, swap it out backup for Charlie. And this is the S-Line DD1 that I was just in love with in the second half of the season last year. But the DNA DD1, I believe, is replacing this slot. Also, this got so used that these two are almost identical flight. This one just has a little more glide, but it's always good to have just like a interchangeable. If one of them, if one of them acts up, you got to put them in timeout. And I'm a firm believer in putting a disc in timeout. And it doesn't matter how much I love the disc, it happens. Oh yeah, the hyzer flip dream, just for that specific course that requires the latest flips and the most glide ever. I have my Neo Essence with the Boston Bruins die. I fell in love with this disc so much last year, and it's basically almost permanently in the bag. It's just a matter of how many trees are on the course. On a wide open course, this would never be used for anything but a roller. But the thing I love about this Essence is there's no amount of hyzer that's too much. It'll always get up and over, and that's just my game. That's what I love to do. I love to flip discs as late as possible and throw them on as much hyzer as possible sometimes. So the Neo Essence with all the glide in the world, this will be in the bag for many courses this year. Just maybe not Olympus. And then we have the backup for my C-Line prototype DD3, one of Gannon's Color Glow cloud breakers that released last summer. I have thrown this a couple times. It's got a nice shape to it. It's got a nice flight, a little bit gummy. And yeah, this is just one of those discs that's max distance. Probably gonna see it go in the bag, whether either I lose the C-Line prototype or maybe I just don't, it's not fitting the bill for what I'm looking for in that slot. So yeah, I could definitely see this one making the bag at some point, but who knows when. Alrighty, that's gonna do it for my building the bag to start the 2025 season. I cannot wait. I'm so excited to get out to Olympus just to start practicing, see everybody on the tour again, just reunite and really get back in the swing of things. And as you can see, I have my beautiful Pound Octothorpe here. This was the 2024 edition of my signature bag. So you're gonna wanna keep your eyes peeled for a 2025 edition, but it's gonna be a little different this year. But one last shout out I gotta say, in the bag, can never go without, is my Brown to Earth Outdoor Disc Dust. Shout out to Gerald Brown. He makes my chalk bags, ships them to me wherever I am in the country. And as somebody who has like chronic grip issues, I don't know what I'd do without Gerald. So shout out to Gerald for always having me well supplied with chalk bags. And yeah, that's gonna do it for today's video. So hope you guys enjoyed. I am as excited as ever to start the season and get out there and start slinging some discs and coming to a Disc Golf Pro Tour event near you. So stay tuned, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.